Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Testing. Let me know if you can hear me. Abel, thank you for joining. Can you hear me? Oh, nice. Thank you. Katie joining. Abel, Mark. All right. Happy Sunday. Grateful for a beautiful day out here in California. So Abel, I appreciate you joining as a member as well. So thank you for doing that. Mark, thank you for confirming. Yeah, I hope you all are having a nice Sunday. Getting re-energized before the market opens. We'll give it a few minutes before we begin. I wanted to just do deep dive technical analysis today. Detail buff. Happy Sunday, brother. Thank you for joining, man. Yeah, we'll be covering TA analysis today. I got a handful of stocks I want to, cover TA on, and let me know what questions you may have. But thank you all. I appreciate you all joining. We'll start in about 30 seconds. Where's everyone watching from, by the way? So we got Katie from Maine. We got Abel from H-Town. Mark, Detail Buff. For some reason, Meta Planet. Oh yes, Meta Planet. Yeah, Abel. Hope you're taking advantage of Meta Planet. Buying the dips before the rip. When it had that recent drop off. Buying anything around $4 is definitely undervalued. We'll cover all these updates. All right, let's begin, guys. So happy Sunday, Drunken FR. I'm actually in the Bay Area, like San Jose, California. So that's where I'm at. But welcome, everyone. Put it in the comments where you all are watching from and your name. Let's get started. So first off, I want to, just cover, where we are with Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin hovering at, 115,000. We haven't really seen much movement from Bitcoin, but that's a good thing. I think the key thing is we want to see Bitcoin hover, just at around these levels. Volume's been just steady. The whale volume has been increasing as well, relative strength increasing. I think people were like very worried when we got to like 107,000. People thought the cycle was over. But all in all, I think this is looking bullish from my perspective. Let's say if I just remove the RSI, I put on my RCYC bear bullish indicator. Let's take a look. So key thing I want to point out as we're looking at just technicals, we had this bullish movement, September 3rd. So September 1st was when we got Bitcoin at 107,000. We reversed. So we went from 107 to 111. That's when we got that momentum signal. Oversold signals there on the OS. Whales started buying, and look, we're climbing up. Purple hue is what we want to see following that red candle. Volume's been just steady. We're seeing the whales increase as well. And, financial institutions continue to load. So I think things are looking, quite bullish for, Bitcoin. So let's see if we just turn on the Okay, so I got the daily moving averages turned on as well. And let me just kind of change the color here. just so at least we can see where things are. Okay, so I also got on the indicators what we're looking at with Bitcoin right now. So key thing is, we see whale institutions buying up Bitcoin. The yellow line represents the 200-day moving average, which, we want price to be above that. We're well over that price. It's slowly climbing up. One of the things that we're seeing is the green line. We just got that intersection with the 50-day moving average, which is in pink. So the last time when we saw that crossing, the death cross, was back in August 22nd. And then, it continued for like, more than 2 weeks where the price, it dropped down. But we got that reversal September 16th, so not too long ago. So that's definitely a key signal we want to see. We want to continue to see the crossing take advantage. So I think Bitcoin is about to, make some movements. All right, so let's continue on the technical. So, all right, taking a look at Ethereum. So let's see. Ethereum, the 10-day still remains above the, 50-day moving average. Whales continue to buy. That's definitely a good sign. I think we want to continue to see consolidation, as we, kind of look at where this is hovering. I think, where we're going is, I'm thinking somewhere around 7,800 by year end for Ethereum. So with treasury companies, I think things are going to be very bullish for what's going to be coming for Ethereum. So like, let's say whether you're holding on to like Bitmine, SharpLink Gaming, BTBT, we'll be covering the technicals as well. That's all going to be very favorable for, companies that are leveraging Ethereum. But I think things are looking good. I mean, we had, August 13th, it went up to close to its all-time high, and then it's been just consolidating around this channel. And I think soon enough, we're going to break out of this resistance area, start climbing into the 7,800 range. Let's take a look at Open Door. And I know Simon, you're on here, so thanks for joining, man. So let's take a look at Open. So let's turn on some some technical analysis. So I'll turn on the Fibonacci retracement. So let's go ahead and turn on the fib levels from the prior run-ups. So what are we seeing? All right, so I think some of the things we're seeing right now is, this is, in fact, let me actually redo this on the retracement. So let's do the Fibonacci retracement. All right, so then let's look. So Open Door, where is it going to be headed in the upcoming week? So, I think price is having resistance at around the, the $10 range. We're seeing resistance there. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out at the 0.78 fib levels. And some people are wondering whether we're going to continue to see that parabolic move up. Yes, it can. There's lots of, activity right now with Open Door. I think it really depends. I mean, weekend, where there's a lot of coverage on Open Door right now, it can continue to just rock it up. I think what we saw with price, back in August when it was at the 0.5 Fibonacci, it tested that resistance, and then it got to the 0.23 fib, and then it just climbed, broke into the 0.618 Fibonacci golden ratio. And now what are we seeing? I mean, it got up to the, $10.77. It's consolidating. So it'll be interesting to see, whether it'll hold support at around the 0.78, 883. Who knows? I mean, the relative strength is quite high right now. It may take a slight pullback. I'm thinking somewhere around that fib 0.78, 0.618. But overall, long term, I think in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we may very well start seeing Open Door start climbing. I think as we head into October, we may very well get to I think the $15-20 in a month of October is where I'm forecasting it. So, just with respect to time, we're going to see, somewhere around, I'll put it in around that range there. So I think we're just going to see that consolidation pattern. We may very well just have it consolidate around here, and then it'll start gapping up, is my prediction. Let's take a look at BMNR. So, I had some drawings earlier, but just so that you can kind of see, where I'm like kind of forecasting BMNR right now. Let's take a look. So BMNR, so we got this bull flag drawn, right? It broke out of that bull flag. On the DMA, we got the crossing, the 10-day crossing, the 50-day moving average. Things are looking very bullish. And we'll definitely be covering, CleanSpark, so not even worry. We'll cover, other plays as well. And, the Lexus is going to be coming. Sign in, of course, you're welcome, man. We got this bull flag. And what happened? We broke out. Now, I think we're going to start marching up to the next fib level. I think 0.79 or 0.38 fib levels. We're going to be getting there, and that's going to be around $79. So I think we'll be consolidating around that range. We had oversold signals back in September 9th when it was, mid 45s. It's been climbing V-shape. Definitely just textbook play, breaking out of that bull flag. Stair step, prior resistance will get to 77.88 at around this fib level, 0.38. Below the 0.5 fib levels, and then soon enough we'll be climbing up to the next leg up to 120 is my prediction. So it'll be interesting to see how the resistance plays out, but we definitely did have resistance previously when we got to the 0.38 fib level. So I think right now, because we had price get pushed down on Friday, now we just got to see how we perform at around the 0.23 fib levels. In fact, BMNR was getting close to break above the 70 range, but just with Ethereum breaking out or just, dropping on Friday, it had a pullback. But I don't think that there's going to be any worry where, we're going to break through the 0.38 fib at $79. I think things are going to look very favorable now because of just with the rate cuts. That's going to favor a lot of the small cap companies. BMNR is going to be growing like MSTR overall long term. And I think, as we head towards Q4, we're going to get to that $120 range is my perspective. I want to shift over to SBET as well. So what are we seeing with SBET? Let me just switch the color here as well. SBET. Okay, so SBET, very similar. However, it's lagging behind BMNR. It has, like 800,000 Ethereum on their balance sheet, while BMNR has, 2.2 million ETH. I mean, it's hovering in this bull flag here, and I think where we're going to be tested is the 0.618 Fibonacci, which will be $31. So I think it's going to double in price coming up shortly in the next coming weeks. Current price action just broke out of the 10-day, moving average. It still remains above the 200-day moving average, and soon enough, I think as we break above $20, price will just move, just surpass the, the DMAs, which is definitely a good sign. So, with the whales, we'd like to see whales continue to buy up right now because it's still in the oversold situation. But all in all, I think things are going to be looking very good for SharpLink Gaming. Let's take a look at MSTR. So I'm definitely bullish on MSTR. I think things are going to look very favorable. People are kind of turned off by MSTR, but let's just take a look at what's going on. I mean, we had MSTR, this consolidation channel, but look at the volume. Volume picked up quite significantly here, right? We see volume here. However, Friday, it had a back test. But key thing is we're seeing increase with the smart money buying in right now. That's definitely what we want to see. And the fact that we had, resistance, we thought that it was going to break out, where it had support at the 0.38 fib level, 368, and then it retested 0.618, got rejected at 400. And then, we got down to the support of 0.36, 349, got rejected there. So now is definitely the signal where we want to see, the 0.36, 349 breakthrough, which, I think we have every reason to break through that. Price just got above the 10-day moving average. Soon enough, we're going to get to the 50-day moving average. In fact, we had that broken, on Thursday. So I think as soon as we start seeing, MSTR fully break out of this bull flag, it's going to be a textbook play. We're going to start climbing back to the, the 0.618 golden ratio, where price is going to, test the 400 resistance level, which is what we saw, back in August 11th. That'll be a critical point to see whether we break through that. And let's say Bitcoin price surges, we will break out of this fib level, and we may very well start climbing up to the 1.618 fib level at 539 overall. So definitely looking very bullish, I think, for MSTR, and that's why I'm betting on MSTU, MSTX. I think things are going to look very solid with these companies. All right, so let's just finish up with the treasuries, and then we'll transition over to the miners as well. But taking a look at BTBT, I'm holding on to BTBT as well. I mean, it had its run up back in July time frame. It got up to about 468, and then 468 got all the way down to 240. So more than 50% drop off. But this is definitely a prime recipe textbook play, breaking out of the bull flag. Price, just broke above the 200-day moving average, 50-day moving average, 10-day moving average. That's definitely a key signal we want to see. And we're seeing the whales loading up here. This is definitely a good signal. We had the retest signal at a 0.5 at $3.26. Now we're getting towards that resistance barrier as well. However, I think just with where market sentiment is right now, I think we'll break above the 0.5 Fibonacci, and then have 0.618 Fibonacci extension, which is where we're going to be headed next at around 359. Let's say if we can hold support or even break through that, I'm thinking we may very well start climbing to the 644, 1.618 fib level. So definitely be on the lookout for BTBT. Things are looking very good. I mean, volume, yeah, we had a pullback on Friday, but consistently seeing the increase in the whales buying, and I think things are going to look good. All right, so let's talk about CleanSpark. So I know, I kept telling Katie to be patient, remain patient. Things are going to be okay. And what are we seeing? What goes down will eventually, and I continue to say that in this journey, right? I mean, when things go down, remain patient. Why? Because things will just, go back to normal. So what are we seeing right now with CleanSpark? I mean, we had oversold signals back September 9th when it was like $9, and just within a matter of, less than 2 weeks, things change quickly. I did say that, the psychology can change right away, and that was through having a change in the CEO leadership. We talked about that. And what are we seeing now? Rise in volume. I think people are now focused on the laggards like, CleanSpark, Riot, Mara, because we have all the other, HPC mining plays that are doing so well right now, like Iron, Cypher, Wolf, Hive, Bitfarms, all of that, which is good. We want to see that so that the big three Bitcoin mining hodlers will then, pick up the pace as soon as Bitcoin starts running. So things are looking very bullish, I think, for CleanSpark as well. I got shares of CleanSpark. I got options of CleanSpark. I definitely do see the upside, and this is definitely looking good. We broke through the 10, 50, 200-day moving average, the Fibonacci. we're at this level on Friday. We were able to stay above the 0.618 Fibonacci levels, you know, at 1361. If we can just break beyond this, this puppy can just send it to, you know, to new levels where we're going to start retesting that, you know, November price point, you know, the one Fibonacci at $18. I think if we can break through that, you know, we're going to be, you know, retesting high levels here. I mean, it could just do a short squeeze, you know, get to the 2.61, 3.61 fib levels. So, you know, we've seen this puppy take off back in, you know, November timeframe when this thing was like super cheap, like back then, right? I mean, 2023 or even like March timeframe, this was like down to $1, you know, and then going from $1 to like $23 or $24. I mean, that just shows the strength of you know, CleanSpark. So definitely something to keep track of. And this is looking very good. I think CleanSpark has, you know, potential for a major run up in the price. So definitely favorable for those who have been, you know, holding on for some time. All right, I'm going to shift gears to Mara. Let's take a look at Mara as well. So got the fib levels on. You know, I think Mara is breaking out as well. I mean, whales are loading up right now. You know, just with price point, we saw volume increasing, and you know, let's see where all the main resistance area are. I mean, you know, we have support here, right? I mean, we're building support at around the, you know, 0.236. I think we're about to retest that. There's no question that, you know, it's just going to be stuck here. I think, you know, we're going to start, you know, moving back to the main resistance level, 33 level at 0.38 fib. And then, you know, if we can break the 0.38, I think we're going to start moving up to the, you know, 0.618, $52 range for Mara. You know, keep in mind this company has like about 52,000, you know, Bitcoins on their balance sheet. So definitely the big three Bitcoin miners are going to be favorable. It's going to have a big run up, and I think the fib levels that we're going to start seeing for Mara is going to be around that 0.618 golden ratio, which puts us at $52. So that's based on the prior run up of, like, you know, just with where we are 2021. I mean, this thing $81. I'm to those levels again. You know, if we get to the, you know, 1.618 fib level, that's $131. So, you know, we've seen this puppy squeeze from, like, you know, from like 30 cents going up to $80. So that just shows the power in these type of plays. And when they run, these puppies run quickly. So definitely Mara is undervalued. It's been, you know, suppressed, and now I think the big three miners are gonna, you know, start kicking things into gear. So Darlo, I did cover BTBT, you know, for one of the first few stocks. So definitely you can watch that segment of the video. All right, so that's Mara. Let's continue. I got Riot up here. So in the comments, let me know if you're all invested in Riot platforms. But let me just show you what I'm seeing with Riot platforms. So, you know, let me just flip the switch to the monthly charts. All right, so on the monthly, so I'll turn off the DMA. I'm gonna turn on the bullish bearish indicator. Obviously, whales are loading up. You see that volume's increasing. Let me just remove this and then show you relative strength. All right, so as we look at just how Riot's performing on the monthly scale, take a look at this. I mean, back in 2017, 2018, we had a big surge in price, right? I mean, this was like a dollar going to $46, and then 2020 this was like 52 cents. It shot up to $80. Where we are, we had that low point back in May, $6, and now it's been just consistently climbing up. I mean, demand for AI is getting bigger. CleanSpark, Riot, Mara all realize that. In fact, Riot, they repositioned back in February. They realized they needed to make the change as well, not only being a miner, but also HPC AI. Look at the volume picking up. So look at the relative strength back in 2021 on the monthly, 93 RSI, 2017, 83 RSI. So RSI has been plateaued for 5 years. So what are we seeing now? It looks like things are ramping up for Riot. And let's say if the RSI kicks into gear above 80, we may very well see history repeat itself, or sure have it rhyme, where the levels of where we are with Riot platforms. If I turn on the RCYC, look at that. We got that red candle. That's signaling a signal for a squeeze that's going to be coming. Look at what happened. We saw that red candle back in 2020. It squeezed up. Back in 2017, we saw that red candle. It squeezed up. Anytime when you see these yellow candles after, that's an indicator that the bull run is over. So I think things are just barely getting started. So definitely we just had that red signal, and now it's just going to follow with purple lines if things play out. You think about AI partnership, that's a catalyst. Bitcoin's going to 170, 200,000, that's going to be a catalyst as well. So we put the fib levels on just so that you get some context on where price can really go. Just Fibonacci 1.618, that puts us at $120 there. 0.61 golden ratio, $47. So that's definitely very well achievable with Riot platforms as well. All right, so let's continue. Next stock I want to cover is, there's too many stocks and I'm beginning to forget all of the different plays here. Let's go through Bitfarms. Bitfarms has been doing very well. I mean, just look at the monthly candle. I mean, back in 2021, things were running up, right? It had an RSI 86. Look at this monthly candle on the volume. Relative strength is increasing. This is looking very bullish, and we see a major squeeze for Bitfarms. Some of you are wondering, are we going to continue to see Bitfarms, move up? Relative strength is like in the overbought signal. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out. But if it can continue to squeeze, I wouldn't be surprised that it will just continue going up. It's been beat down for many, many months now. So we may very well have it get to like $5, $10, especially at this rate with HPC AI. Bitfarms, definitely a stock to keep an eye out on. Just look at that. That strength, that power in Bitfarms. So I'm holding on to Bitfarms as well. Not a big portion, but it's nice to see Bitfarms catching back up, even though I was bag holding this for quite some time. All right, so another play I want to share with you is to add it to your radar is Grab. Grab is definitely to me, it kind of reminds me of like the next open door play. It's kind of like the Uber, the Lyft of Southeast Asia. Definitely a lot of people who try to get around use this app to ride the motorcycle or to get a car ride to get you to places. But overall, I definitely do think that we're beginning to see increase in volume. Volume has never got to these levels. They're going to have earnings report. Price is moving up. I think we're going to hit that golden ratio 0.61 fib at $11. So it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when. Back then, 2021, this puppy even got to $17. It's been just suppressed for many years now, and I think now's the time for it to start ramping up, kicking things into gear. I'm going to cover Oracle just to give you, a different flavor of what's to come. So, we hear a lot about on the news right now. We had OpenAI, Oracle shot up 40%, and then it's just been consolidating to the downside. It got to like 345, and then, it got down to like 298. Friday had a slight upward movement after getting announcement that, they're going to be partnering with Meta AI with a $20 billion partnership. And TikTok news is coming out. Larry, CEO, is going to have ownership of TikTok. I think things may very well blow up, let's say, starting tomorrow. I actually bought some weekly call options, just as a high risk play. What if it does shoot up tomorrow and, we get a TikTok announcement? This thing can just shoot up, and, the weekly, contracts can definitely be, printing, even though it's a high risk play. So, definitely Oracle is one to keep an eye out on. All right. So here's a play that I think has definitely value, and that is American Bitcoin. That's being run by leaders at Hut 8, and we got the Trump family part of it, Eric Trump, Trump Jr. I think the Hut 8 is definitely solid. We see it getting close to $40. I mean, when ABTC announced IPO, I mean, this puppy, it shot up significantly. I mean, it went up to like $14, and then it had a pullback, got to $6, and it shot up to $10 recently, and then it pulled back to $7. So definitely we see volatility here, but what are we noticing? Higher lows, higher highs. I think just with the recent pullback, this is definitely a great buying opportunity. ABTC, I think, is definitely something to keep an eye out on, especially like, let's say if you like options. I bought tons of call options for December. I definitely do think that with Bitcoin price expected to go up, the call options, even shares, it will appreciate in the next 3 months. So ABT definitely a stock to keep an eye on as well. Here's another stock that I'm super bullish on, even though we haven't really seen much movement. But what goes down will eventually pop back up. It's kind of like the CleanSpark situation where we feel capitulation, right? But just based on the current price activity, I mean, where we are around $17. I mean, back in beginning of the year, January, this was $44 during the election time last year. November, $54, but $44 to $17, that's a big drop off. And I do think that we're going to start retesting to that golden ratio where we had that, that prior resistance, back in January when things started, pushing down in terms of the price. So 0.61 fib levels at around $39 is, where I think the price is going to be headed. When this puppy squeezes, it squeezes. I mean, just look at these type of candles. We see it 2024, April, January. So, it's been quite some time since we've seen a big candle, but I definitely do think that, we're going to have some catalysts with, crypto ETFs being created. DJT, they have like a huge amount of Bitcoins on their balance sheet. They own 20% of Chronos, CRO token. So definitely, huge upside for DJT. BBAI, I've been talking a lot about this, but just look at this. I mean, textbook play, right? I mean, hovering in this bull flag, oversold. We talked about this several weeks, and now it just broke out of that pattern. I mean, you want to see, upward movement, consolidation for the next leg up. This is a prime recipe for just, bullish patterns to buy the dip, relative strengths increasing, volumes increasing. And look, it just broke out. And now, question is it going to get back to its prior resistance, sub $9? I think just with quantum computing, all of that right now, things are looking very strong. You know, QBTS, QUBT, those are some solid plays as well. But you see here, same deal. We're seeing, you know, bull flag breakout. You know, things are looking very solid. I mean, this thing was at $15, 15 to 26 in a matter of days. So definitely some huge opportunities. Here's another one I want to share with you. Nakamoto. I mean, Naka, they are a Bitcoin treasury company. Why do I like this stock so much? I mean, when you look at the price, it's like, oh my gosh, why is it going down? It shot up to $35, and then it had support at $6. It shot up to $17, continued to bleed out. I mean, $3 to $8, and now we're at that basement low. So $1.40. So you see a lot of volume activity being bought here. I think people, you know, like this price point, and they're hoping for, you know, a reversal pattern, which I do think can come. So this is definitely a lotto play. Kindly MD Nakamoto Bitcoin conference. You know, I did see a lot of marketing with Nakamoto on the screen. So definitely something not to ignore. Eventually, I think things are going to look favorable for Naka. ETHZilla is an Ethereum treasury company. You know, I think there's talks about how they may be bought out by BitMine Immersion Technology. So this might be favorable for, you know, ETHZ shareholders or even BMNR. So, you know, let's say if ETHZilla gets bought out, this can shoot up at a minimum 30% intraday. But I think where we are right now, it kind of looks like BMNR, where it's just, you know, just treading water right now at the basement low before it gets up. So there we have it. Let's take a look at the live stream and see what everyone is talking about here. So I hope that's been helpful, guys. I know I've been talking a lot, so. All right, so Simon, 50,000 shares. Well, that's a big amount. So, you know, Simon, you know, it really depends on your strategy. I mean, if you're a long-term investor, don't even worry about it. Yeah, you know, cost average 969. Even if it drops down to like $8, you know, or $7, not to say that it will, I wouldn't worry so much, because you got the use case of Open Door. Things will climb up. You know, it's not going to stay at these levels. You know, it's going to continue to climb up. It's kind of like the Palantir Carvana stock. So I think Open will be very favorable. All right, so happy Sunday. Thanks for joining, Sharon. So let's take a look. SLNH. So let's take a look at that. Soluna Holdings. Oh my goodness. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I mean, 40 cents shooting up, volumes picking up, RSI is in that good levels. Man, this puppy's been running. SLNH. I mean, whoever's in SLNH, I mean, look at this. Okay, let's take a look at the. All right, so it gave that momentum signal at 47 cents, and it shot up to 108. So that's definitely bullish, I would say. Now okay, if I remove this, put on the daily moving averages. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let me just change this color so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so price action broke above the 10, the 50, and it's treading, you know, once it gets to like 113, another 5 cents breaks above the 200-day moving average, this puppy's going to squeeze. So definitely some huge upside. 114, you're right, Mark. you know, if it breaks above, you know, 113 at 114, then I definitely do see the 150 range playing out. But just to give you some more of a statistical measure, let's look at the fib levels. So 0.5 at 107, we had some resistance there, not much data points, but I think what we saw, you know, back in September, we pushed above that fib level 0.38. So I think the main resistance right now is at around the 107. So where we are currently. So if we can, you know, stay at around this range or even break above that, you know, get back to the golden ratio 0.618, things will look very good. So I think next step is, you know, breaking above the 120 zone. But, you know, just looking at it this rate, you know, it could just, you know, send it to new levels. All right, so thank you for sharing that. All right, so BTBT. I think we covered BTBT already. Things are looking good, but I hope you all enjoyed this. And if you haven't already done so, please make sure to hit the like, subscribe. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out tomorrow. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. All right, so Bitcoin price currently at 115,000. You know, we're just consolidating right now, so definitely good. I prefer Bitcoin not to like run during the weekends, because when it runs and then, you know, when the market opens, it goes in reverse. So it's better for it to just plateau, and then come tomorrow, things start looking better. So futures tomorrow, it's basically not much movement for the futures data. So can't really tell whether we're going to have a green day or a red day tomorrow. So right now it's like 0.09%. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out. And if you haven't already done so, please make sure to follow me on X as well. I would really appreciate it. But there you have it. I hope you all enjoyed this content. Thanks for, you know, stopping by with this live stream. Hit the like, subscribe. You can also be a member of the channel as well, so take a look at that as well. So I appreciate you all. And I also created a BMNR video if you haven't already seen that and you're interested in that. But I covered quite a few stocks, so definitely watch whatever stock you're interested in through this live stream. So thanks, guys.